Part 73. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lou Kixey. Chapter 721. Chapter 721 A battle between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. The word grandma is very unfamiliar to Yezikin. He knew the relationship between old MRSMO and him, but he didn't think it was necessary to admit it. The Mahists were just a group of strangers to him. Knowing that Yezikin was indifferent by nature, I hurriedly walked over to smooth things over for the two of them and ease the atmosphere. Brother Chan, Grandma Mo, please go ahead and talk. Yezikin has always been the main person. When Yezikin's attitude towards MRSMO is not clear, she will not deliberately get close to her, nor will she ignore the guests. Since MRSMO saw Yezikin, her eyes have always been on him. After all, as people get older, they only feel that blood and family ties are particularly precious, and they also hope to have children and grandchildren to surround them with. But Yezikin doesn't like to chat with others, and all normal discussions with him are business matters. Men and women are very different in terms of emotions. No matter what emotion they are, women are more emotional, while men are more rational. Yezikin has grown to such an age that he can support his own world and no longer needs the care and concern of relatives, so MRSMO's starting point for using blood ties to impress him is obviously wrong. After an awkward conversation, old MRSMO didn't hear a few words from Yezikin at all. Fortunately, Yu was the only one to lighten the mood, so that MRSMO would not be too embarrassed. Yezikin drank a cup of tea. If there's nothing important, I'll go deal with the documents first. He can be regarded as respecting his elders by staying here and listening to old MRSMO talk about a bunch of things that have nothing to do with work. Old MRSMO's trip was considered to be in vain. But MRSMO was not discouraged. He is unwilling to leave, which shows that this child has personality, which is much better than those who are incapable and independent. This is how people are, they care more about what they don't get. The more Yezikin was unwilling to return to the Mo family, the more MRSMO wanted to persuade him. Moreover, MRSMO also asked MOSI to walk around more and get closer to her son. The child has not grown up with us since he was a child. It is normal for him to be emotionally distant. We must let him know that our Mo family is his closest blood relative. As a result, MRSMO would always buy things to send to Yejia. Even MRSMO went to see Madame Ye in person. Ever since Yezikin truly took control of the Ye group, Madame Ye felt much more at ease, and no longer had the same fear of her son being deprived of his power as in the past. Since then, MRS Ye has been enjoying life more and has even turned a blind eye to Yezikin's only thing. After all, she can no longer stop Yezikin, her son's firm choice. Now, when she first heard about the arrival of someone from the Mo family, Madame Ye felt wary. But she was very good at showing off, and it was not impolite at all to order people to entertain old MRSMO. Old MRSMO met MRS Ye for the first time and didn't know much about her nature. She only knew that an accident caused this woman to give birth to an excellent grandson for their Mo family. If you can raise a child as outstanding as Chenur, his mother is indeed good. Hearing MRSMO's praise, MRS Ye covered her lips and smiled softly. MRS Danya has a proud personality. Even when facing old MRSMO, she feels like meeting a stranger wearing a mask. I know that when MRSMO expressed her desire for Yezikin to return to the Mo family to recognize his ancestors, MRS Ye's first thought was that the Mo family valued her son's ability, which was tantamount to robbing him. Old lady, I grew up in a night house and have no other relatives. Of course, you won't need it in the future. Red envelopes will be distributed in the welfare group on the 12th of this month, starting from 10 UN. Red envelopes will be distributed in the welfare group on the 12th of this month, starting from 10 UN. Red envelopes will be distributed in the welfare group on the 12th of this month, starting from 10 UN. Welfare group fan value requires 2000, disciple, or above to join the book club group, 1450160119. Kaibeo who meets the conditions can find the manager 3.5 years old in the book club group for review and verification, and then join the welfare group. For more details, you can join the group to inquire. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 722. Chapter 722 Proposal at the Playground. MRS's rejection made old MRSMO feel repulsed. The MO family are his closest relatives. I've raised my son for so long, no one else is allowed to interfere with what he needs or doesn't need. MRS's attitude was firm and she didn't want to save face for old MRSMO. MRS's proud character is revealed. When she thinks of her son's current achievements, she is even more confident. Two women compete with each other, and an undercurrent surges. Old MRSMO originally thought that MRS, as a mother, seemed to be easy to get along with, but now it seems that the rumors outside are wrong. But the purpose of MRSMO's coming here is not entirely to win over MRS. Since it doesn't make sense, then use an alternative method. As a mother, you always hope that Chenner will be well. Old MRSMO was unwilling to mention the surname Ye, so in order to show her kindness, she called Yezikin by her nickname. MRS Ye held the teacup in her hand with an unreal smile. I am his mother, so I naturally know what he wants and what he doesn't need. That's not what I want to say. Old MRSMO once again threw out the information she had. Did you know that Chenner has heart disease? After finishing her words, Madame Ye raised her eyes and pressed the teacup in her hand heavily on the table. What do you mean by this? MRS Ye and Ye Wei asked the same four words, but the emotion shown by MRS Ye was dissatisfaction. She didn't want to hear about her son's illness from other people. The mere mention of it made her heart ache. However, MRSMO regarded this as the biggest bargaining chip. She said, we, the Mahists, can completely cure the disease. It's really ridiculous. The doctor who treated my son's body is known as a genius in the medical field. His family has been studying medicine for generations and cannot provide a complete cure. Why are you so shameless? When MRS Ye thought that old MRSMO was forcing her son to leave the Ye family, MRS Ye completely tore off the mask and spoke sternly. MRS Ye's arrogant and rude attitude made old MRSMO very angry. Thinking to herself, it's a good thing her son MOSI doesn't like this woman. His disease is inherited in the family. Even if there is a famous doctor around him, it will take time to study. As for our MO family, the treatment technology has been mature for a long time, so it can naturally cure his disease. It turns out to be a family inheritance. Madame Ye put her palm on the table and stood up excitedly. My son has been suffering since he was a child, and it's because of genetics. He was emotional because he was angry. Ever since MRS Ye knew about Yezikin's illness, she always thought that she had not taken good care of him properly, but she never thought that it was a family inheritance. MRS Ye looked at old MRSMO and took deep breaths to force herself to calm down. In the end, he punched the table with his fist and thanked the guests behind closed doors. My son doesn't need you from the MO family. MRSMO, please come back. Old MRSMO did not expect that her plan would come to nothing. Whether it was Ye Wei who behaved well and politely from the beginning to the end, or MRS Ye who had an arrogant attitude from the beginning, after learning that Yezikin's condition was inherited in the family, they did not take the initiative to come to her as MRSMO expected. It's all useless. For the last time, MRSMO plans to confront Yezikin directly. She wanted to take this opportunity to see Yes Group, so she sent someone to Yes Group to make an appointment according to normal procedures. But inadvertently, I heard Yezikin mentioning the arrangements for a playground proposal to his subordinates. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 723. Chapter 723, Having Children. Proposal. It was Yezikin who arranged the marriage proposal, and that person was Ye Weiwei. I remembered that his father did not advocate casual marriage and children in this life, but this son was about to start a family and start a business at a young age. It seemed that he really liked that girl. Since this is the case, she can take advantage of this opportunity. Hand Yezikin with affection and understanding with reason. Mrs. made an appointment to meet through the normal procedure. Yezikin was not surprised when he saw her and seemed to be waiting for her arrival. When Mrs. saw her grandson, she wanted to care for her. Chenur, I see that you are full of energy and your expression is relaxed. It seems that something good is about to happen that will make you happy. Old Mrs. didn't mean any harm in her words. Maybe Yezikin was really in a good mood at the moment, so he actually gave her a light smile of comfort in return. However, he quickly suppressed the unnecessary expression on his face, and actually asked Mrs. what business she had. Old Mrs. only made the appointment for business reasons, and there was actually nothing to discuss about the studio. Old Mrs. sighed softly. She slowly took out a medicine bottle and handed it to Yezikin, explaining, "This is medicine to treat your heart disease." Yezikin stared at the medicine bottle and stretched out his hand to take it if it was not there. Old Mrs. said again, "But this is all about treating the symptoms rather than the root cause. As long as you come back to Mo's house with us, there will be specialized doctors there who will prepare the most suitable medicinal formula for you to cure your condition." She also emphasized, "And it will not be passed on to the next generation." Yezikin looked at it coldly, not showing any interest in the bottle of medicine or the treatment. Old Mrs. kept throwing out the temptation rod, "What a poor child. Ever since Grandma knew that you inherited the heart disease that has been in the Mo family for generations, Grandma has been feeling pain in her heart. It's really painful for you. I have my own treatment method, seniors don't have to worry about it." Chenur, you can't say that. Mrs. quickly rejected Yezikin's decision. Thinking that she overheard Yezikin mentioning the topic of proposal to others when she came, Madame Ye used this to persuade him, "You think you are used to it, but you should also think about your future wife and children. I can see that you and girl Chiao Chiao have a very good relationship. I think you will be together in the future." Old Mrs. caught Ye, and the only thing she could say was to praise her. "Grandma also likes that girl Chiao Chiao. She is beautiful and intelligent. With her ability, she can become your good wife. You are bound to have children when you are with her. If your children inherit this disease in the future and suffer unusually high pain, how would you feel?" Old Mrs. kept testing him and irritating him with words about wife and children. Although it was difficult to see an obvious change in expression on Yezikin's face, he was indeed shaken by old Mrs.'s words. It turns out that Guchensi's diagnosis and treatment judgment was correct, and the disease is hereditary. If it is not eliminated, there is a high chance that it will be passed on to the child. Yezikin's decision was greatly affected by the thought of the already scheduled proposal and the wedding in preparation. How could he be willing to risk his only child? "Grandma is not forcing you, she just feels sorry for you." Only the doctors of the Mahist family have summarized effective treatment methods based on the medical conditions of various generations of the Mahist family. I hope you can think about it clearly. Returning to the Mahist family to recognize your ancestors will do you no harm at all. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 724. Chapter 724. Two people had a car accident. "Wow, what are you doing?" The box in his hand was thrown out. As soon as they turned and braked suddenly, a car next to them hit them. With a loud bang, The small car they were driving was directly hit by the large car and squeezed against the guardrail. There was a turmoil and the people in the car fainted. Outside the playground, Ye Wei was still standing under the big tree waiting for someone. Have you glanced at the tickets in your hands? Thinking of the rare two people coming out to play, you feel sweet in your heart. She sometimes looked up, sometimes looked down at her phone, because the crowd was so busy that she didn't realize that the man she was looking forward to was walking out of the playground at this moment. But he stopped when he was still some distance away from the night. Did not continue walking, but dialed the number that he knew by heart. Ye Wei stood behind the sidewalk and heard the ringtone of his cell phone vibrating. Hello. When he answered the question, his expression changed instantly. What? Car accident? Just after learning that Nangong Luo and Gong Qinli were in the same car and had a traffic accident, Yezikin called again at this moment. Before Yezikin could speak, Ye Wei shouted anxiously, Brother Chen, Brother Nangong, and Li Yulai were in a car accident. Car accidents can be big or small, but yes, only memory is definitely a blood-drenched memory. What should I do? When she thought of the tragic consequences of the car accident, her whole body felt stiff and cold, and even her hands were trembling slightly. Yezikin, who was not far away, walked quickly. When he was 2 meters away from her, he said in a low voice, Look back. Look back, he is there. Ye Wei looked back and saw him, and instantly gained a backbone. Stepping towards him quickly, he grabbed Yezikin's side and said directly, Let's go to the hospital. Yezikin's car was parked outside. The two of them hurried over, got in the car and went directly to the hospital's address. Sitting in the car, Ye Wei put his legs together and his hands on his knees held each other tightly. Hold her left hand horizontally to support her right elbow, and gently caress her head with the palm of her right hand. She sometimes bit her lip and sometimes sighed, but her heart felt much more settled. I'm sorry, brother, I'm afraid I won't be able to fulfill the surprise you gave me today. You are right, why do you need to apologize to me? Luo and Li Yulai are our friends. Yezikin shook his head slightly, but he was not angry with her. Dates and surprises can be postponed. Compared with the safety of friends, these are nothing. The two of them felt that the hospital only knew that the person who contacted them also called Gong Qinli after seeing that the most recent contacts on her phone were all hers. At this time, the Gong family and Nangong family did not know. The first thing Ye Wei did after entering the hospital was to push the doctor outside the door with an imposing manner. Doctor, how are they doing? The two patients who were just brought in are very lucky. The car accident was not life-threatening, but their bodies were also traumatized. More specific information needs to be tested after the patients wake up. The doctor gave a brief introduction based on the specific situation. When Yezikin called Gu Jinsi on the phone, Ye Wei suddenly remembered that this hospital also seemed to have the surname Gu family. Soon, someone else came from Donglei. Hello, Miss Jiao, this is something that was taken away from the patient after inspection. It has been confirmed that it is safe. The man offered something similar to a shoebox, and Ye Wei nodded and accepted it. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 725. Chapter 725. Did you save me? The patient is awake. Why? The nurse inside came out to remind, and Yezikin took the shoebox out of Ye Wei's hand without leaving any trace. Hearing that the patient was awake, Ye Wei followed the nurse in and took a look. It turned out that only Nangong Luo was awake. Brother Nangong, are you okay? The first time she came in and greeted her, Nangong Luo seemed to have not fully recovered his consciousness. When his mind and vision recovered, before he could answer Ye Wei's question, he anxiously looked for Gong Qinli. Lu Li is resting next door, don't worry. Quickly calmed Nangong Luo's emotions, but he insisted on seeing Gong Qinli before he would give up. Yezikin, who appeared at the door, didn't say much. He simply said 4 words to let him go, take him over. Seeing that Nangong Luo was very insistent, he had no choice but to agree. Just as he was about to walk into the ward next door, he saw Gu Chenxi in a white coat walking out of Gong Qinli's ward. Nangong Luo stood at the door of his ward, watching Gu Chenxi's leaving figure for several seconds, then turned around and went in to visit Gong Qinli without hesitation. Gong Qinli has a slight bruise on her forehead, which has been disinfected and applied with medicine. Now there is a thin layer of gauze on her forehead. Brother Nangong, don't worry too much, Li Yulai is fine. The doctor said she just hit her forehead and will be fine after she sleeps. Although 2 colleagues were injured in this car accident, I heard that when they rescued people, they saw Nangong Luo protecting Gong Qinli tightly. The real situation is unknown. Seeing Nangong Luo's worried and self-blaming look, Ye Wei didn't dare to ask. But she thought the rumors were correct. If it is a critical moment, Nangong Luo will definitely protect Gong Qinli. This is a kind of trust. However, when Nangong Luo saw Gong Qinli sleeping on the bed, he already blamed himself extremely. It's all my fault that I didn't control it well, so she is lying here now. The police have found out the results, and the facts have nothing to do with you. There was a child crossing the road at that time, and Nangong Luo was trying to slow down to give way. Unexpectedly, a large car appeared behind him and directly hit his car so far. But Nangong Luo shook his head repeatedly, as if he didn't care about the real situation. At that moment, Ye Wei put down the phone without any further explanation, because Nangong Luo was concerned about not knowing where the responsibility lay, but under his care, Gong Qinli was still injured and fell into coma. Nangong Luo insisted on staying with her here, sitting there for 4 hours from noon to afternoon. Knowing that the doctors and nurses were urging him to change his dressing, Nangong Luo reached out and touched Gong Qinli's forehead. His movements were very light and gentle, and there was tenderness hidden deep in his eyes when he looked at her. Nangong Luo returned to his ward to change the dressing and cooperated with the doctor for another examination. This set of things was delayed for a long time. Gong Qinli's ward. Gu Chenxi, who was entrusted by someone, hinted that he would personally diagnose and treat Gong Qinli. When dusk fell, Gong Qinli, who was lying on the hospital bed, suddenly opened his eyes. When her eyes regained clarity, the first color that appeared in her eyes was pure white. That white figure is moving, it's a doctor in a white coat in the hospital. It's just that the more Gong Qinli looked at it, the more he felt that the doctor's back looked very familiar. She tried to sit up slowly while holding onto the bed. Gu Chenxi, who had just prepared the medicine, turned around at this moment. Their eyes met, and Gong Qinli recognized his identity at once. Dr. Gu. Did you save me? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 726. Chapter 726 Nangong Luo's emotional injury. Gong Qinli has been chasing Gu Chenxi for 4 years. When she asked this question, Gu Chenxi frowned. Entrusted by others. Originally Yezican asked him to show Nangong Luo and Gong Qinli, but he didn't expect Nangong Luo to wake up quickly. Now he just came for treatment on time, but he was bumped into by Gong Qinli, who woke up. Gong Qinli originally seized every opportunity and every possible reason to get involved with Gu Chenxi and get closer. But now when I opened my mouth, I was subconsciously asking, by the way, where is Nangong Luo? Do you know where he is? Gu Chenxi's tone was calm, and he spoke with precious words. I'm awake, check next door. Wake up, is he seriously injured? Woke up 4 hours earlier than you. I'll go see him. I told you, he is undergoing examination. The implication is that even if you can't see him in the past, don't bother him in the past. Okay. Since he woke up 4 hours earlier than she did, and seeing Guchensi so calm, it seemed like it was nothing serious. Thinking of this, Gongkin breathed a sigh of relief. Dr. Gu, thank you for saving me. You are a patient. The implication is, you are a patient in my hospital, so I save people. Guchensi mixed the medicine and wanted to replace the ointment that was originally applied on Gongkin forehead. Guchensi was holding a small white porcelain bowl specially used for medicine, which contained the latest medicine he had just prepared. Guchensi personally took off the gauze on Gongkin forehead and used a cotton swab to apply ointment to her. She lowered her eyes slightly and found that Gongkin eyes were wide open and staring at him intently. Guchensi frowned again. He growled, "Close your eyes." Gongkin closed her eyes obediently. Guchensi held a cotton swab and applied medicine to her. When the cold ointment is applied to the wound, it feels cool and refreshing, and the wound does not hurt at all. Gongkin opened her eyes again at this moment. She raised her eyes slightly and could see Guchensi's chin. Even the chin feels different. Dr. Gu, do you always take care of your patients like this? I don't have that much time to spare. Does that mean you only do this to me, Dr. Gu? Are you responding to me sideways? As he spoke, his tone was filled with a smile. When Guchensi heard this, his cold face turned even darker. When did he express that intention? Only a cheerful person like Gongkin can face other people's cold faces and still smile indifferently. Dr. Gu, don't be shy. If you have any thoughts about me, you can tell me directly and I will cooperate with you. Shut up. The last ointment was applied to her forehead, and Guchensi skillfully applied the gauze to her forehead. While Guchensi was packing his medicine box, Gongkin was not idle either. Seize the opportunity to tease Guchensi with explicit and implicit suggestions. Dr. Gu, it turns out you are so gentle to your patients. It's all because I'm usually too strong and don't have the chance to get sick. Who knew I could get such preferential treatment from Dr. Gu this time when I was in trouble? She saw Guchensi's face, and the more she talked, the more amused she became, and the ward was filled with laughter. Unknown to everyone, Nangong Luo was standing outside the door of her ward, knocking on the door with one hand raised in the air, but did not fall after all. He stood outside the door and heard the voice coming from inside. A bitter smile appeared on his pale baby face and he murmured, "It's good that you're fine." Feeling sorry for Mr. Luo. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 727. Chapter 727. Be careful, it hurts a lot. Guchensi just applied medicine to her and left. Gongkin stayed in the ward for a while when she saw Ye Wei push the door open and come in. Oh my god. When she saw Ye Wei, she exclaimed, and then remembered that it was Ye Zikan who was going to propose to Ye Wei today. She and Nangong Luo had an accident, and I don't know how the surprise proposal went. Where are the shoes? Looking down, he saw that Ye Wei was wearing exactly the same clothes as the photo taken of her when she left home in the morning. The shoes on her feet were indeed flat shoes. Gongkin pressed her forehead smoothly and accidentally touched the wound. She screamed in pain. Lu Li, what's wrong with you? Does the wound hurt? She caused pain to her wounds due to her own misdeeds, which frightened Yi quite a lot. Gongkin quickly waved her hand and explained, I'm fine. I accidentally touched the wound. Ye Wei breathed a sigh of relief, but felt a little angry again. Be careful, it'll be very painful. Don't worry, frowning doesn't make you pretty. You are like this, I don't care if you are pretty or not, if your wound hurts or if you feel uncomfortable anywhere else in your body, you must tell me in time. Gongkin nodded in response and asked, okay, I'm fine, how about you? How was your date today? Ye Wei shook his head and said, I didn't have a date. I learned the news that you were admitted to the hospital at the entrance of the amusement park. It scared me terribly. What? Do you mean you and brother Chen were in the hospital today? Didn't you enter the amusement park? When she first heard the news, the development of the situation was different from what she imagined, making it difficult for Gong Qinli to digest the news. Although Ye Weiwei felt it was a pity, she did not regret it. Yes, you are both injured, how can we have any intention of dating? Gong Qinli explained anxiously, but that's different. Originally, brother Chen was planning to. It was almost the purpose of exposing it, and it was said that half of the time was back. Ye Weiwei stared at her, which made Gong Qinli feel guilty. If she exposes Yezikin's plan, wouldn't all the surprises she made before be in vain? Brother Chen planned to give you a surprise, but now it's been ruined by our affairs. I'm really sorry. Is it just that? Why do I feel that the things you said to me are weird? She frowned slightly and really started to think. Gong Qinli quickly interrupted her train of thought and immediately changed the subject. Are Nangong Luo's examinations finished? I want to see him. You're changing the subject. Who changed the subject? I was really worried. If Dr. Gu hadn't told me just now that Luo was awake and checking, I would have run over. You guys really have a good relationship. After brother Nangong woke up, he didn't even care. He insisted on seeing you with his own eyes and stayed by your bed for several hours. Ye Weiwei mentioned it specifically, especially the last half of the sentence. Really true. Gong Qinli didn't expect, how many hours will Nangong Luo stay with me even if he is injured? Ye Weiwei nodded heavily, brother Nangong is very worried about you. Gong Qinli frowned, seeming a little embarrassed. Just when Ye Weiwei thought she was finally aware of Nangong Luo's thoughts, she heard Gong Qinli slamming the bed and scolding, damn, this kid is stupid. Can't he take all the responsibility for my injury on himself? Bar. No, I have to go over there quickly to educate him and instill the correct ideas into him again. Ye Weiwei's eyes blinked rapidly. She never expected Gong Qinli to react like this. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 728. Chapter 728, That girl from the Gong family doesn't like you. As soon as Gong Qinli said she wanted to lift the quilt, when they went there together, they learned that Nangong Luo had been discharged from the hospital. What is he doing? Gong Qinli asked Ye Weiwei her doubts, and Ye Weiwei shook his head in the same way. She patted Gong Qinli's shoulder to comfort her, you go back and rest first, and I'll go ask about the situation. But Gong Qinli did not listen, but insisted on staying, just ask now, I'm not worried. The two of them made a phone call at the door of Nangong Luo's hospital gown, and the call was quickly connected. Brother Nangong, where have you been? I'm home. Go home. Are you okay? Why didn't I listen to you before? Ye Weiwei asked carefully. Gong Qinli couldn't hear clearly and snatched the phone from her hand. Nangong Luo, where have you been? Do you think you blame yourself for the car accident and hide away because you don't want to see me? Her question was not as gentle as Ye Weiwei's, and it hit Nangong Luo's heart like a bomb. He was not bored, but felt relieved. Nangong Luo sighed deliberately, his tone even more relaxed than when he answered Ye Weiwei before, no way, I just can't get used to the smell of disinfectant in the hospital and ran away first. What slipped away first? I'm still lying in the hospital. So I didn't dare to tell you. Who knew you would find out so quickly? At the end of the sentence, he tsked twice to express regret. Nangong Luo, just go ahead and mess around, I'm really off. The conversation between the two seemed like a quarrel. Gong Qinli quickly pressed the red keyboard to hang up and put the phone back into Ye Weiwei's hand. Ye Weiwei asked with concern, what did brother Nangong say? Gong Qinli rubbed her hands indifferently, it's okay, don't worry, he's very lively. Little did he know that Nangong Luo was lying at home with his hands and feet injured. The little follower who usually gets along well with him has just put a bandage on his right hand. Master, the medicine has been changed. Nangong Luo raised his left hand holding the phone. Okay, thanks. The little follower didn't leave. He was just packing the medicine box and muttering, Master, you just mentioned the call from Miss Gong. It seems that Miss Gong really cares about you, Master. How can you be sure it was her who hit you? Young Master, you only have that tone and expression when you talk to Miss Gong. Nangong Luo instantly stood up and sat upright. What tone? What expression? The little follower shook his head. It's hard to say. You've already opened your mouth and you're not saying anything, you're just trying to scare me, right? Master, you know that I am not well educated and can't describe it well, so don't embarrass me. The little follower can't describe it, so he's too embarrassed to say more. Nangong Luo stared at the phone screen that had returned to the dialing page and shook his head. I heard her voice was loud just now, so it seemed like there was really no problem. The two families found out about Nangong Luo and Gong Qinli's car accident. Mr. Nangong held Nangong Luo's ears and scolded him for a long time. Gong Qinli heard about this and called again to explain to him. Mr. Nangong refused to listen. He pointed at Nangong Luo and scolded him again, you have always been a playboy. Sooner or later, our Nangong family will be defeated by you. Nangong Luo listened to the scolding and said, Grandpa, I'm still hurt. If you weren't injured, I would have kicked you out of the house. Now that you are quite old, Yezikin already knows that you are proposing. What are you doing? That girl from the Gong family doesn't like you, so you can go on a blind date with me tomorrow. Sorry. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 729. Chapter 729. It's you who is looking for a wife? Grandpa, I am only 26 years old. I am in my prime years and cannot step into the grave of marriage. Yezikin is also 26 years old. You often go with him and expect you to learn something good. What happened? Besides settling accounts, what else can you do? Now we don't even find a granddaughter-in-law for us. When can we have a granddaughter-in-law? Great-grandson. Nangong Luo had a headache after hearing this. There was no trace of this grandson's daughter-in-law. How could she even think of her great-grandson? But you can't say that when you think in your heart. Nangong Luo gestured and clapped his right hand, then patted his chest and promised, Look, I'll find it for you, old man, another day. What do you mean, find a wife for me? You are the one looking for a wife. Okay, old man, don't get angry. Nangong Luo's coaxing made Mr. Nangong feel a lot more comfortable, but seeing Nangong Luo's non-serious expression, Mr. Nangong really wanted to hit him with a crutch. Until he heard someone coming from outside to report that Ye Wei had arrived, Mr. Nangong was not willing to let him out. Why are you here? Nangong Luo lowered his head and saw the gauze on his hands and feet. He thought it didn't matter, so he walked out openly. Before she even got close, she heard Ye Yuyi's voice. Not only Ye Yuyi's voice, but also Gong Qinli who was chatting with her. What's the situation? Is the person who just spoke so blind that he doesn't know the point? Nangong Luo looked down again and saw gauze on his hands and feet, and quickly went back to the room to change into a loose covering. When he went out to meet the two of them, Nangong Luo had a relaxed and careless look on his face again. Seeing Gong Qinli reaching for the fruit on the coffee table, Nangong Luo quickly snatched the thing away from her nose, held it up in his hand and gave her a proud smile. Nangong Luo, I came to see you with good intentions, but you still dare to things from my hand. Gong Qinli pointed at him, her eyes burning. Nangong Luo he smiled, you also eat longan, are you afraid of getting angry and infecting the wound? He raised his chin to indicate to Ye Wei, who held the money on his chest with both hands in a holding position. Nangong Luo threw the longan in his hand, and it landed impartially in the palm of Ye Weiwei's hand. He also said, "Sister Weiwei, I gave you the longan, you're welcome." Ye Weiwei chuckled lightly, pushed the apple in front of him, replaced the whole plate of longan in front of Gongkin Li, and said, "Brother Nangong really takes good care of Li Yulai. He even pays attention to such small things. The longan belongs to me, yes, eat more apples to nourish your skin and speed up wound healing." Those words made it so clear that Nangong Luo grabbed the fruit for her own sake. Gongkin Li stuck out her tongue at him and made a face, and honestly did not touch the longan again. Just when two people meet and see the night together, they feel guilty. Gongkin Li winked at Nangong Luo in various ways, their eyes kept interacting, and they even talked silently from a distance. Ye Wei suppressed his laughter, pretended not to notice, and said he wanted to go out for a walk, leaving space between the two of them. Seeing Ye Wei leave, Gongkin Li quickly sat down next to Nangong Luo. "I messed up Brother Chen's surprise last time, and I feel really guilty that Ye Wei still cares about me every day and takes time to accompany me. It's my fault that my driving is unstable. What are you afraid of? Why are you driving erratically? You are also trying to give way to pedestrians. No one of us should take this responsibility on ourselves. I just want to know what Brother Chen said. What should I do if I propose marriage?" "Have no idea. How could you not know?" "I really don't know what the boss thought, but the shoes were taken away." "Who took it?" End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 730. Chapter 730. The night 3 days later. Who took it away? He really didn't know. Oops, I'm not doing well, I'm ashamed of my boss. After all, it was a big event to propose marriage, but it was ruined by an accident between the two of them. It's all my fault that the child was running around on the street, and his parents didn't take good care of him. If you hadn't braked in time, something might have happened, and we would have been unlucky. Not all children can get away with it by saying they are still young and not sensible. If the parents do not provide adequate care and the children run into the street, nothing will happen to them. It's over now, let's think about how to make amends. Well, although we didn't do it on purpose, after all, it was a plan that Brother Chen had carefully prepared for a long time. I feel guilty when I see that Yi is still worried about me. Although they did not deliberately sabotage it, they were personally involved in it, and they knew how much time, energy, manpower, and material resources Yezikin had spent preparing for this surprise proposal. Unfortunately, it failed in the end. Just as the two of them were sighing, Yi, who had been wandering around for a while, suddenly appeared from the door. "What plan are you talking about?" Gongkin Li waved her hands repeatedly. No plan. You look very guilty." "Really not." Gongkin Li denied it, and Ye Wei didn't ask for the reason in the end. Ye Wei lay down and sat on the big sofa at home, but he felt that something was missing. Although she had a vague suspicion that there was some secret hidden in the previous surprise, maybe they concealed it deliberately to make her happy, but they would never suddenly think of someone who wanted to propose to her. "I just feel that it is a pity to miss the anniversary party at the amusement park. Or she can think of a way to surprise Yezikin again. Think about it, think about it." While she was racking her brains, she suddenly heard news broadcast on the TV channel in front of her. Meteors refer to meteoroids running in interstellar space. Most visible meteoroids are similar to grains of sand and weigh less than 1 gram. According to the new news released by the planetarium, a meteor will pass by in 3 days. Ah, there is a way. She caught the key points and searched online, and found out that there will be a meteor appearing at 8 p.m. 3 days later. Meteors have always been given a beautiful meaning by people. Wouldn't it be a beautiful thing to watch them with others? Falling in love also requires a sense of ritual. As soon as the idea came up, Ye Wei began to look forward to it. When Yezikin came back, she wanted to say it, but when she saw Yezikin staying in the study to handle official business as soon as he came back, she was too embarrassed to disturb him. Except for mealtime, Yezikin never relaxes for a moment. Yeziwei walked around Yezikin and roughly understood what Yezikin was doing. Although she didn't have much experience in business, she was smart enough and thought about it. She moved her laptop to Yezikin's study room, quickly searched for information and took notes, and finally gave Yezikin some favorable suggestions. Very good, getting better and better. Brother, are you praising me? Can you give me a reward? I just compliment you and you ask for a reward. You are really a greedy guy. I'm not greedy, I just want to ask if you are free in the evening in 3 days. Not sure yet, is there something wrong? Yes. Please try to make as much time as possible after 3 days, and I will give you a surprise. Recommend a friend to ask quick time travel, the cannon fodder female supporting attack. If you like quick time travel, you can join the trap. End of this chapter.